Hey everyone, it's Ed Gutowski, and what I wanted to do was today to kind of give a little bit of a lecture that kind of briefly introduces you to The Pilot's Wife and to talk really about why I chose this novel and how it relates to rhetoric and how it may not be the best class, though, really to use for a class that's going to focus on rhetoric and argument. And I've read all the discussion boards. I've loved everything what students have said about rhetoric and argument. So now we're going to shift to The Pilot's Wife. And the question is, okay, so what is this novel about and how does it relate to rhetoric? So I want to talk a little bit about how I got here, because there's a specific reason why I'm choosing this novel. And so you're going to have to roll with me on this. But several years ago, and this was before COVID, I picked a book called The Attack. And The Attack is a book that is, and it was the book that I was going to originally use for our class. I was like, I've used this book before. It relates to rhetoric. It has a mystery to it, and students loved it. But The Attack does have some parallels to The Pilot's Wife. But The Attack is a little bit different because The Attack is set in Israel. And it's about a doctor, and he's married to his wife. They live in Israel. And all of a sudden, one night, he's this doctor, there's a terrorist attack in Israel. And the husband gets called away, he's a doctor, and he's doing all of these surgeries to help people who have been victims of the terrorist attack. He's doing multiple surgeries. He's seeing people who's been physically harmed from the attack. And at the end of a long day of work, after he's done, helped all these people, the police come with him and they find out that his wife was the one who planned the terrorist attack. And the doctor's kind of shocked. He's like, how could someone that I've known my whole life done something like this? And then the book becomes his kind of self-discovery of finding out who his wife is, and things were never what they appear to be. And notice this book might have been a good choice for me to use for our class, given today, and in 2024 we're seeing that what's going on in Israel is a huge event. It might give us some insight into it. And I was going to use The Attack, but as I was doing some research to kind of say, hey, is there a different novel that I could use that has a similar theme? Every single time that I looked at something, it said The Pilot's Wife. The Pilot's Wife by Anita Shreve carries a similar theme. And there were some arguments that said, hey, this novel also relates to rhetoric, and that this is considered to be Anita Shreve's best novel. And since I've taught a couple of books by Shreve before, and this is considered to be a best novel, I thought this would be the perfect book to use. So let me segue then to The Pilot's Wife, right? I mean, it's a little bit different, but a novel starts off, there's a knock at the door. And the main character, she's asleep, she wakes up, she's trying to figure out, hey, what's going on? And it's in the middle of the night, who would be knocking on my door? And her husband flies for a major airline, and she opens up the door, and it's the airline industry arriving saying, hey, your husband is dead, he was piloting a plane, and it crash landed. And they're trying to figure out why. And here is where the mystery begins, because nothing in this book will appear what it is. And it's really about the main character, Catherine, trying to find out about not only what happened, how the plane crashed, but finding out about her husband. So the book basically is set up as a mystery. So as you're going through, I want you to look at clues. And that's where some scholars say the rhetoric begins, because no one is who they appear to be, and nothing is what it seems to be. So as you're going through the book, I want you to look for clues or hints, because that might help us to understand kind of the argument that is being made and how we can link the book to rhetoric. There are three characters essentially that I want you to focus on. I want to know what you think of the wife, Catelyn. I want to know what you think of the husband, Jack. And I want to know what you think about the airline representative. His name is Robert. And in a brief kind of discussion board, and you'll answer this discussion board after you've read, But I mean, just give me some hints about what do we what do we learn about these characters and who are they? Because I think that might help us preface us to have a better understanding of the novel. So there's kind of a brief discussion board after this, and that'll kind of get us onto the path of trying to understand what's going on in The Pilot's Wife.